Good morning, everybody. Hello, Melissa. How are you?
I am fine,
Life is
Isabel.
good
And
for
how are
you?
you?
I'm fantastic. I'm always fantastic. You know that. Do you have a
Yes,
good
you are.
Easter?
I did. It was a very low key day. I actually hung out and did things I wanted to do, which is to say, no housework. Forget it. None here.
I took the entire opposite approach to you. I did everything that needed to be done around the house so that this week I could just focus on work and do my things, and I have so many things to do for work. And hey, but seriously, what a better way to start my week than to spend an hour with you? Come,
Absolutely. I mean,
come
this is
on.
perfect. You set that foundation so that then everything flows afterwards, right?
You got that right. Hey, so listen, everybody. Melissa and I have been talking because we like from our first conversation, we kind of became friends.
Yeah.
And we were talking about empathy and lack thereof sometimes, and empathy in the workplace, and how, we call empathy a soft skill. There's nothing soft about it, right? So we
Mm-mm.
said, hey, we need to have this conversation in front of people because we're kind of badasses when it comes to this and having knowledge in regards to this. So it's going to be a conversation. If you have questions for us, drop it in the comments. We have the wonderful Sindel running the back end, and she's going to put the questions up. And since I am extremely, extremely dyslexic, my lovely friend Melissa is going to read them out loud so I don't have to. And we're going to answer them the best we can. There's no bullshit here. If we don't know the answer, we're not going to pretend that we have it. And that's it.
Yeah.
So, the first question, because I know it's the first thing that people ask you all of the time, and it's a great conversation starter, is what's the difference between EQ and empathy?
It is a great question. And it is one of those things that's just kind of fuzzy. People think about soft skills and they're like puppies and rainbows and Care Bears and whatever. And nothing could be further from the truth, because to actually be able to take these skills and use them is not easy. That's why empathy is not for the weak. People get this weird idea that if you have empathy, you're weak or you're soft or you're a marshmallow or a pushover. And that's all nonsense. So the way I teach empathy is, if you, Isabel, are the leader,
I am.
you you are, yes, you are a leader of many and a leader of
I
one.
am.
You lead the pack, absolutely. But so, you're the leader. You're the one with the power. You're the one with the spark. You're the one that brings the excitement. You're the one with the big ideas and the big vision. So, because you have all that electricity, you are the electricity in a wall socket. You have all the potential in the world to do these amazing things, right? Your EQ is on a computer that's over here somewhere, right? Wall sockets here, computers here. On this computer is not only a database of all of your EQ skills, your kindness, your compassion, communication, yeah, big things like this. You have all this on a database. And also on this computer is a database of your employees, the people you need to lead. So you've got to figure out a way to connect with these databases and bring these two databases together. Empathy is that power cord that connects the wall socket to the
Mm,
computer and allows you as the leader to connect and light everybody up.
what? I love this explanation. I don't think that I ever heard you explain it quite in that way. And for me, it's if you are the leader, which I am, if you are a team leader, a captain of industry, a CEO, a manager, whatever you want to call it, and you're still, ruling with an iron fist, you're missing the boat. Guys, this is not 1973. This is 2024. And
Right?
you need these soft skills. You need to be able to speak to your employees as human beings, because that's how they're connecting with you, and that's how they're going to that you're going to get the most out of them. And I'll even add something. You know, a lot of times, I don't know if you get that question, Melissa, but a lot of times people say, "Oh, how do I motivate my employees?" Well, that is an extremely easy answer. And the answer is you don't. You don't motivate anybody. What you
No.
do is inspire them. And when
Yes.
you adapt your language to their communication styles, their motivations, the way that they present themselves to the world, when you're able to use empathy, because that's what it is, we're back to that electric cord between the socket and the computer. When you adapt that to the individual that you are speaking with, you are going to get phenomenal results. Phenomenal results. And I
Yes.
don't understand why this is 2024, people get with the program.
Right?
I don't understand why people are still kind of, what? Huh?
Yes. I don't get it either because there's so much. Okay, so I'm a nerd. I wear the nerd crown. I own it. I'm fine with that.
It looks
But,
good on you.
well, thank you. Here's my tiara. But I'm always researching this stuff because I'm like, okay, this is what I believe, but what's actually being said? What are the people who are studying this saying? What are the big four consultancies saying? What are the social scientists saying? What's the real deal here, right? And across the board, you get better retention, you get better innovation, you get better productivity, like to the like 87%. Okay, so this Ernst and Young survey came out in 2021 during the Great Resignation, which is the other reason why these skills are so important, because these younger generations are not willing to put up with this stuff anymore.
Thank God.
You know, right? It's about
Thank
time.
God.
I
It's
mean,
about time.
right. We're
Yes.
Gen X, and unfortunately, I feel our generation kind of dropped the ball on this because we should have pushed back and we didn't. So I'm
Eh,
glad that some of the younger ones did. Anyway, this
Sorry,
Ernst
I did.
I do this. It's like following a ferret.
Yeah.
But this survey, 2021, specifically looking at empathy in the workplace, and they surveyed, I don't know how many tens of thousands of people, employees, leaders, executives, everyone. And they found that you can increase productivity by 86%, innovation by 86%. And the thing that should get even the most Montgomery Burns of leaders, profit by 82%.
Oh,
How
honey,
do you not pay attention to this?
amen. You're preaching to the choir, because one of the things that I tell my clients all the time, because that's what I do for a living, is just we address it. We take it from different angles, but I do the same thing for a living. And that's the first thing that I say is, well, okay, so working with me is gonna cost X amount of thousands of dollars. Yeah, sure, of course it's going to, but how much is it going to cost for you to lose this employee? Because losing an employee is 1.5 to 2%, 2 times, not percent, 2 times their annual income. That's what it
Yes.
costs. And I'm so happy you mentioned that, because I'm happy Gen Z are saying, no, I'm not putting up with this crap. Somebody is going to be willing to pay for my services, for my time, for
Yes.
my knowledge, for my ability to work, for what I do, and treat me like I'm a human being, because that's what I am.
Yes.
I keep coming back to, this isn't 1973 anymore. You can't we shouldn't have never put up with this crap.
No.
Never, ever, 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 ever again. And I find that one of the most often mistakes that leaders, regardless of their title, their job titles, if they're in the leadership position, say, well, I'm the leader. My job is to get things done. That's a load of crap. Your
Yes.
job is to take care of the people who gets the job done.
Yes.
Your job is to take care of the people who do the work. That's your job as a leader.
Yes.
And it is still so misunderstood. And thank goodness Gen Z is pushing our butts a little bit and saying, well, okay, but you don't get to talk to me that way.
No.
And you know what, Melissa? We should never talk to anybody like that.
No.
Ever.
Nope. The biggest thing that empathy does is it allows you to be attuned to another person. If you are actually attuned to that person as a human being, why would you talk to them that way?
And you know what? I hear that sometimes, people saying the expression saying, oh, you can't talk to me like I'm a dog. Well, you know
Yes.
what? I don't even talk to my dog that way.
No.
No, this is not acceptable anymore. And I'm grateful that it isn't. I'm really grateful that it isn't. So, how do we, because I posted, excuse me, I posted something this morning and I was telling people, like, do you have the guts to show empathy? That was the title of my post. And in the comment section, somebody, and it isn't wrong. It's just a question I already had before we started our live. In the comment section, somebody said, well, empathy is something we're born with, isn't it? Like there's nothing we can do to develop the skills to have more empathy or be more empathic. And I thought about it and I thought, well, I'm going to discuss this with Mrs. 17 PhDs here, but
Where?
but I you that would be you. But I like inside of me, I don't have the science data behind my answer, but instinctively I would have said, of course you can develop empathy. So A, how?
Okay.
And B, in what circumstances is it not um is somebody wouldn't be able to? Is my question clear?
Yes.
Thank
Yes.
you.
I don't know how clear my answer will be. So hang on. Here we go. Because this is the $1,000,000 question.
Yes, ma'am. Thank
It
you.
really
And
is.
thank you. I can't
Yeah.
remember the name of the lady who asked the questions, but thank you.
So the thing with empathy is because it is such a broad subject, the way it started out, they actually it's biology, neurobiology, philosophy, and psychology, and it all gets mixed in a big bucket because this goes all the way back to like ancient Greece as one of the
Mm,
virtues.
mm.
And because of this, we actually started out like in the 60s or 70s with 43 different definitions of empathy.
Holy goodness.
Yes. Now we've managed to narrow it down to only 8, right? But specifically, what we're looking at here is affective or emotional empathy, which is that connection between human beings, and cognitive empathy, which is how people are able to logically get a hold of it. So, empathy is actually 3 different. If you're going to actually affect empathy, there's 3 different parts of it. First, you connect with another human being on an emotional level. I feel what you feel, which means you've got to be open and
Mm,
vulnerable to them. Second, you feel some kind of discomfort as a result. Oh my God, your grandma just died. I remember what it was when my grandma died. I really feel for you. Now, even as you do this, you're not taking responsibility for their emotions, but you do feel it. And you're kind of, as Brene Brown puts it, you're in the suck with them, right? The third part of this is that you display compassion. And what compassion is the action part of empathy. So that's the definition we work with, or that I work with when I'm actually talking about teaching empathy, because the other 42 definitions may have nothing to do with it. Now, as far as this, where it begins is this: I feel what you feel as a human being. And
Mm.
what the studies, what the literature actually shows is that between 95 and 98% of human beings do have this to some degree. Some of it's biological, some of it's environmental, some of it is just, we don't really know. It could be temperamental, which the idea of a temperament is kind of that part of the personality that you're just born with. I mean, we've all known little babies that they
Yeah.
just, this is their person, this is it, this is
Yeah.
what they are.
Yeah.
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 So it all kind of goes together. Can you teach it? Well, luckily, 95 to 98% of humanity does have this to some degree. So you don't have to teach it, you have to practice it,
Mm.
which means understanding what you're feeling and what you're doing, and actually taking that and learning how to make it actionable, because that's the trick. It's like, okay, anybody who's ever been on a diet knows, right? You can have exercise equipment, you can have a bike, you can have a weight set, you can have a
Have it
treadmill,
all. Yes.
but having it and using it are two different things. And the only way you're going to get results is by using it.
Mm.
Having it in your bedroom to hang clothes on does you no good. So it's, go
No,
ahead.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Well,
I
this
was
is,
just gonna say, so it's literally the more you use it, the better you become at being empathic, and therefore the more empathy you show, and then it becomes a circle. It becomes a
right.
kind vicious circle. I don't like say vicious, but you get the point. Is the more you
Right.
practice, the better you are at it. That's what it means.
Right. But you do have to put in the work, and it's not
Yeah.
for the weak. I mean, if
No.
you're going to learn how to play a piano, you don't just sit down and go da 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 da.
No.
You have to practice it, and that's how
Yeah.
you master the skill. It's a skill. It's a transferable skill. It's one you can take anywhere with you. But yeah, you have to practice it.
Yeah.
I always think of Michael Jordan, right? Greatest of all time. Like how many millions of shots or whatever, right?
Hmm.
He didn't make the varsity team in high school. And his mother told him, you can either quit or you can go practice.
Yeah.
And look what he became.
Greater.
Empathy. Yes. I
I
didn't
was
mean to.
just gonna say he became the greatest at basketball that basketball ever had seen before.
Right. And empathy
Li-
is
Not like I don't know basketball enough because I live in Canada and basketball is not our thing. But although excuse me, the Raptors did win a few years back, but no, but seriously, and I hear that from the leaders that I work with, the team leaders and the CEOs and the captain of it, and all of these people, but yeah, but like, how can I show, empathy in my communications and I've seen, and I know everybody's seen this video. I mean, it's on TikTok, on YouTube, on Instagram short, and people are reposting it and reposting it and reposting it. But it's the speech from Simon Sinek where he's saying, he's on stage and he's saying, communication without empathy or with empathy is the difference between, going into your employee's office and say, well, your numbers have been down for 3 quarters in a row. And, if you don't do anything about this, we're going to have to take actions. And the opposite of that is walking into the same person's office and saying, your numbers have been going down for 3 quarters in a row. Are you okay? Because maybe that person's, mom is ill, or his wife just found out she has breast cancer and she's in chemotherapy, and he doesn't feel like he has the space to share that with his boss or his, upper management or even middle management. So that's the difference. It's, as a leader, it's actually, and excuse my language, but I'm going to say it this way, it's actually giving a fuck about your employees and how they are doing as a human being. Because if you care about that, well, the work they're going to be willing to do for you is going to be greater than what you even want or expect out of them.
Yes.
So, how does one start using empathy in their communication style?
So you actually, when I'm teaching this, I actually back it up one from there, because before you can
Wonderful.
show other people empathy, you've got to understand how to show yourself empathy. And some of these leaders, in what I've seen, it's not that these people lack empathy, they lack an understanding of how to strategically use it. And they're scared to do it, right? It takes courage, because they're like, if I let this all out, I'm going to be seen as weak. I'm going to, oh, the sharks are going to get me, and this is going to end my career. So you have to learn how to make it strategically actionable, right? So it's not just a matter of, I'm going to show empathy to everyone all the time, and it doesn't work that way. These businesses are still there to turn a profit, but you can do both. You can actually turn a profit and take care of your people. But these people work really long hours. They're a lot of time. The other thing I find is that they tend to be in a very defensive posture because
Mhm.
of the way these systems work. They got to be
Yeah.
quarterly. It's got to be monthly. I got to see my metrics. Oh, metrics. That's a whole nother thing that I won't get into right now.
We should.
Hold me back.
No, no, we need to. That's the
Well,
conversation we need to have. It
yes,
is about metrics and it is about, like, of course, the sales team managers or whoever, the leader of whatever team and their job title are there to do a job and they are there to get some kind of productivity. And of course, the company is there to make money. I mean, companies make money and they pay the employees. I mean, this is the world that we live in. So we can't
yes,
pretend that, money is evil. It isn't evil. It is when money is more important than human beings.
right,
That's when things go wrong.
right.
It's not about money not being good. Money is all right. I love money. I ain't afraid of saying it. I work for money. Thank you. I mean, if I could pay my mortgage with hugs and kisses, then maybe I'd need less. But that's, you know, my bank,
Yes,
they're so anyway, they're very demanding. They gave me money and they want money back in return. So money is not the root of all evil. It
no,
is putting money before people that is the root of all evil.
the
And that's
love
the
of
difference
money.
between the two.
Yeah,
It's it We understand, like, I get that all the time, and I'm sure you do too, Melissa, is yeah, but like, I'm especially the middle manager. I find that the middle management level are the have the worst jobs.
yeah,
They truly do, because they are literally stuck between a rock and a hard place.
yeah,
But everything that we're seeing here, it of course it is addressed to everybody, but the cultures are starts at the head. That's where the company culture start. And
yes.
I saw this great interview with Richard Branson, that the question that he was asked was, how do you implement client first to your employees? And he said, well, that's easy. I don't. It's it's not customer first. Is I take care of the people that will take care of the client. And if my employees are happy, the clients are going to be happy. And
Right.
we all have that experience in our lives where we got to a store or we called customer service on the phone or whatever, and we are met by someone who is literally working for food. And you can hear it in the voice. It's purely out of necessity. And I get that. I get that sometimes that's what a job is.
Yeah.
But if you're met with somebody who actually love what they do because they are treated well, because they are allowed to be a human, they're allowed to have a bad day, they're allowed to go to their boss and ask the stupid question, which doesn't exist, by the way.
No.
They're allowed to be themselves and have unique abilities that are put forward in their team and in the company. Imagine what quality of service you get in return. And that, coming back to what you were saying at the beginning, is increases profit by 86%. This is why. If I
Yes.
go to store A and I'm met by the same person, I don't want to put qualifications here, person that hates their job and has a rotten day, and because every single day is a rotten day, she ends up having a rotten life. Well, the
Yes.
quality of service that I get in comparison to somebody who's treated like a human, is allowed to have a bad day, is allowed to, and is met with understanding and empathy. Imagine the difference. Which store am I going to shop more often at?
Yes. And which one do you want to give your money to?
Thank you.
Which one do you want to support?
Yes.
These things are real.
Yes, they are. And I don't understand why corporate America doesn't get that yet.
No. And the addition of some of the metric stuff that goes on, to just to come back around to that, it's used as a means of control. You get people that are in the offices, they're surrounded by these metrics all the time. It's data in, data out, data in, data out. And especially with big data, we as human beings can't conceptualize big amounts of data. Joseph Stalin said that one human death is a tragedy, but a million human deaths is a statistic. And as sick and wrong as that is, it really is kind of how we humans handle data. We miss the human element of this. So what happens is these people that are in these leadership positions can't make that connection between humanity. And sometimes they can't even give it to themselves. They work long hours, they have shorter lives, they end up with all sorts of diseases.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the sickness starts at the top too, by not showing themselves
Yes.
the empathy that's necessary.
Yeah.
And then that culture comes down. Metrics can either be a tool for your hand or a rod for your back.
Mm. And it starts so early.
Yes.
It's school. A lot of people don't understand that or don't know that fact, but school was built to create workers. And that's why the metric is get good grades, get good grades, get good grades. As if getting 60 in math was a proof that you weren't a good human. It's
Right.
not. Maybe you're better at math, or maybe you're, well, in my case, better in French, or maybe you're a better athlete, and maybe you're just a very kind person, and maybe it wasn't created, school was not created to make people who thought for themselves and would, I don't know, would thrive in their unique abilities. It is designed to create worker and workers on the assembly line. That's even worse. That's what, to me, anyway, it's worse. I'm not I'm not degrading anybody here, guys. I'm not saying that the people that work on assembly lines are not good. I'm saying a lot of them are kind of, that's the only thing, because they have been measured for that their entire life.
Yes.
And I'm in the middle of reading The Gap and the Gain by Dr. Benjamin Hardy and Dan Sullivan. And that's exactly what they're talking about, is when you compare yourself to the gap is looking forward and seeing the horizon. But the thing with the horizon is that you will never reach it.
Yes.
It's never going to get done. So your unit of measure is always focused on what you lack. And the gain is quite the opposite. So, okay, so maybe I don't have exactly what I want, but if I look back, because we can only connect the dots when we're looking back. But when I look back, and not for nostalgia or not to feel sorry or not anything like that, but in quite the opposite, to see how far we have come That's being in the gain. And when you are in the gain, you're in gratitude, you're in abundance, and it's much easier to be empathic to yourself when you're focused on how far you've come than always constantly looking forward and being comparing yourself to your ideal. If you're anything like me, you will never reach your ideal, and you're not supposed to. It's
Oh,
an ideal. It's not, it's a direction. It's not a destination. It's a direction.
yes. And it's a direction that can be changed.
Thank God for that.
Right? Because what was ideal for me at 18 would make me want to hide in a closet now.
What did you wish for? Hey, this is the interviewer of passion, people, passion, and purpose in me that wants to know.
Well, I always knew I wanted to be a musician. I never had any doubt about that. But I think at 18, I was more about the lights and the glitz and and I get to be on stage and and then as I got older, it was more about the art form and communication and bringing this love to other people. And that person that was like, I get to wear clothes on stage. It's kind of like, go sit down. It was fun. It was cool, but I'm not that person anymore.
And good. That means you evolved.
Right.
That's what it's. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, that's what it's for, right?
Right. It went from being about me to being about other people is really what happened. And,
Mm.
I think maybe there's a lot of that in my evolution. So one thing I wanted to touch on too, though, is you had asked what it is when the people don't have empathy. What does that mean?
Yes.
So I want to make sure I hit that because they are out there and they're kind of scary. So now we're talking about dark triad personalities. And there's about 2 to 5%, they figure, of the general population that have these dark triad personalities, which include psychopathy and sociopathy, which are not the
Mm.
same thing,
No.
Machiavellianism and narcissism. And one of the main ways that they categorize that is that these people don't have empathy. The problem is that these people also tend to really use those and what's around them to gain power and control, which means it's probably more than 5% when you look at top level jobs like leadership, like physicians,
Yeah.
like the government.
Yeah.
And that's like by definition, they don't have empathy. So now we get into the other side of empathy, which is the cognitive empathy, where you logically get it and you can, the scary part, mimic it. So you can allow people to believe that you have it. So I don't necessarily need to go any deeper into that unless you want to, but just I want to make sure I hit your whole question so that someone wasn't like, hey, you forgot the back half.
That was it. Yeah. And I mean, but it's an extremely small amount of people that, I mean, they do exist. We understand that, but it's not the majority, thank goodness.
No, but the ones that are there can do a lot of damage,
Yeah.
especially
Well,
because they like to prey on people with empathy. So you have
yeah.
to, keep a cool head and a warm heart.
And thank God, I'm not going to talk about American politics because
Oh my God.
that's it. I'm not an American.
I just don't want to bore our listeners to tears.
No.
They're not here for that. And if they are,
No.
we're probably not the right place.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Because that's a whole nother thing too. I mean, if people that are listening want a show on it, you should put it in the chat. If you've got questions, put it in the chat. I'm
Yes.
trying to, when you see me doing this, I'm like trying to watch the chat at the same time. I'm not spastic. I'm multitasking.
You're not?
Well, I am, but I'm also multitasking.
Hey, most musicians know how to do several things at once, right?
We do. You
Thank
have
God
to.
for that. Thank God for that.
But I
Well,
mean, you've
go
had
ahead.
oh, well,
Go
just
ahead.
you've had a ton of experience with leadership as well. And I mean, what's your experience with seeing empathy in some of those positions? Because now you're doing the Nova tests and
Yeah.
stuff that like legitimately qualifies and quantifies some of these behaviors. So, I mean, what are you seeing on your side?
I think that the thing that comes up the most often is about communications.
Hmm.
Because I think that, and it's not only in leaders, I think that it's in most people. We find, or we have this misconception that communication is about, I'm going to share my point of view and I'm going to get what I want. I'm going to ask for this and that. And it is. However, there's a big however. And the however is, well, if you do want your point to be seen and heard, and your point of view, and if you want something, if you want the other person to find value in what you're saying, then adapting your language, adapting your communication styles to theirs is how you get that done. It
Yes.
is not about, banging your fist on the conference table and just saying what you have to say. So if a leader walks in a conference room and says, okay, so here it is, here's what I think about it, what do you guys think? It's too late. So it's the ability to speak last, and it's the ability to adapt yourself to the other one, and that is what empathy is. And that's what Nova does too, right? So the Nova profile, for the people in the audience that don't know what it is a psychometric um, assessment tool. It's not a personality test. It's about your behavioral preferences. It's about how you show up in the world. It's about how you like to communicate and how you like people to talk to you. Excuse me, I dropped something. It's about knowing yourself, and I think that when we know ourselves better, we communicate better. We show up for others better. We show more empathy. Period. So that's the most often thing I find with leaders is just getting to know their teams individually, because that is one of the worst, to me anyway, on in the field working with people. That is the biggest misconception is, oh, I'll create a great team. And I mean, that's literally my slogan, is the dream team builder. Yes, but teams are built one person at a time.
Yes.
It is you understanding Bob and having a great way in adapting your leadership style and your communication styles to Bob, and then doing it again for Derek, and doing it again for Melissa, and doing it again and when you do that on an individual basis, the team creates itself.
Yes.
That is how great teams are built. It's adapting to each and tapping into all of their unique abilities, because Bob is not like Melissa and Melissa is not like Isabel, and what you say to one you can't say to the other one. It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
So taking a group of 20 people and saying, well, I'm just gonna be me, because that comes out very often. Well, I want to be authentic. Yeah, okay, that's okay. If you don't want result, keep on going. And I'm not saying that adapting your leadership style and your communication style is a lack of authenticity. It is adaptability. And there's a
Yes.
difference between the two.
Yes.
It's just not the same thing. So be you, but if you actually want to inspire, and I chose inspire and not motivate. If you want to inspire your workers to show up and do the job better and well, A, do be empathic, and B, treat them like they like to be treated. And some will need the swift kick in the butt, and some will need them to, hold their hands just a little bit longer. It's and one of my favorite analogy is people are like popcorn. Same heat, same oil. They don't pop at the same time. The same thing. They're in
Yeah.
the same bag. It is
Yeah.
the same source of heat. They are heated at the same time, but they don't pop at the same time. The
Yes.
same thing with people. What works for Bob doesn't work for Melissa, and vice versa. So if you want to create the best team possible, you have to adapt to each and every single individual. And that, for me, in my field, for what I see out there, that is the biggest thing. People don't adapt.
No.
I'm the boss. Okay, well, good luck with that.
Well, there's two paths, either evolution or extinction.
I love that.
You know?
Oh man, I love that. Yeah, and you know what? I'm gonna bounce off of that. And there's no evolution without revolution. It takes somebody to take the lead and start. It
Yes.
takes somebody to say, you know what, this company culture that we built 25 years ago when we started this company, it was okay then. It isn't okay anymore. And we're
Right.
going to change it. We're going to adapt to it, because it doesn't mean that it wasn't effective. It's Maya Angelou that said, do your best until you know better, and then do better.
Yes.
But people keep focused on a mistake or on not adapting because they've been doing that mistake for so long.
Right.
Well, perhaps when you started it, it wasn't a mistake, and it is one now. So
Right.
change that. It is hard, Mike. You're right. It is hard to adapt. And it takes a lot of humility to work with people like me and you, Melissa, because we're kind of there to say, well, maybe you can be a little bit kinder here, and maybe you could, use better words here. But the point is not to show the flaws or or the mistakes. And I hate that word. If you
Yeah.
know me, you know how much I hate that word. It's not that. It is to help you grow into something better.
Yes.
That's what it is.
Yes. And as that leader gets better, so does everybody else.
Everybody else.
Yes. So going back to what you were talking about teams and adaptability,
Yeah.
there is a fantastic book out there called The Diversity Dividend by Scott Page. And this is based on his dissertation. But what he talks about is how with teams, yes, you want diversity the way we consider diversity, but not for the sake of diversity, but because
Mm,
each of these people bring different experiences and different ideas and different ways of looking at things, different visions. And that in bringing these people together, which you may have to approach differently, it's an
yes.
adaptive kind of
Yes.
thing, that you actually get an exponential dividend on the output of these teams. And he proved it in his dissertation. He did it. And it's like, yes, as a leader, you may be called to adapt what you've done. But if you actually want that leadership crown, nobody said it was going to be easy. You've seen Conan the Barbarian, right? Like the original with
Yeah, yeah,
Schwarzenegger,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
That
yeah,
one.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
it gets to the end of the movie and he's sitting like this. And the narrator says, heavy is the head that wears the crown.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, if you're in a leadership position, you didn't get there because you thought it was going to be easy. And if you did, maybe we need to all rethink why you're there.
Amen for that.
You know?
Amen for that. And I think a lot of people, they go on that path of, becoming the leader, the CEO maybe of a company they don't own or whatever. They start their journey thinking it's going to be great to be the boss
Yes.
until they are the boss. Right?
Yes.
It's not how there's a reason why CEOs are extremely well paid.
And die young.
And of a heart attack. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's yeah.
A lot of them.
Yeah, true. Yeah, true. No, it is Richard Blossom, yeah. I don't know. I can't. Have I reached out of things to say?
No. You need some more caffeine.
No.
Man, or sugar or something. Maybe you're over sugared. It's after.
No. I had my big Easter thing on Saturday instead of Sunday, and yesterday I fast because it was just I needed my glycemic index to go down. Oh my God.
Part of this that I think we both do, though, as well. I mean, we reach out to leaders because that's where your culture comes from, right? Culture eats strategy for breakfast. Peter Drucker.
Yeah.
And the fact that so much of it, the problem is that leaders have the most ability to help, but they also have a great ability to do damage to large groups of people.
Yes.
And I think that's a big part of why we reach out to them. But I think we both also have an eye on the future. I want to help future leaders.
Yes.
I want to get people when they're just starting, before they've been entrenched in these systems, before they've been so molded by these systems that they don't want to change. It's the teacher in me. Come on, let's mold this together. Let's create this future together.
Yeah.
And it's possible. We can do it. Is possible. Because even though we have these command and control leaders out there, no one lives forever. I mean, not to be dark about it, but
but it's true. Yeah. And back to what I was saying earlier, don't hold on to a mistake that you keep doing over and over and over again just because you've been doing it for a long time.
Right.
It's okay to change your mind. It's okay to adapt. It's okay to learn new skills. It's okay it's okay. It's okay. You're only going to make everybody's lives easier, including and starting with your own.
Right.
That's yeah. But it is yes, D Grant. It is literally about forging the future. It is. That's what it's about. And I'm extremely happy and grateful that Gen Z are going, nope.
Yeah.
I will not work 80 hours a week. I have a wife and kids and a house and hobbies and friends and a life.
Yes. But this all takes courage.
Yes.
You can't be weak and stick to what you believe. There's another book, and unfortunately, because I am a nerd, you're going to get lots of books. But it's a really good one called Redesigning Organizations by Frederick Laloux. And he actually talks about these organizations that go from a vertical hierarchical structure of the king and everybody down and actually move out into more of a matrix thing. And the very first thing, and I mean, he names companies. He talks about some of them that are heading that way, kind of like Southwest Airlines, like Ben and Jerry's ice cream, some other, I mean, big ones. So this works on large levels. But he talked about some other companies that have made this work. And the very first thing that the leaders do is they equalize that illusion of power.
Yeah.
There's no executive bathroom. There's no, my office is up here away from everybody else
Yeah.
because I don't want to see the little
With
people,
the
right?
view and the biggest, yeah.
I mean, Montgomery Burns again, but
Yeah.
in all good humor is a grain of truth, and they get rid of the suit and tie. They actually go down to the floor and talk to people. And because of that, they have these cultures where I thought this was really interesting. They do not empower people, because to use the word empower implies that someone has the power and they're doling it out like a parent.
Yeah.
So they don't empower their people, they equalize the power structure so everyone can rise. Now, how there's no way you can walk into a Fortune 500 company that has always been in a vertical structure and command and control leadership style and just go like, all right, we're going matrix and this is what's going to happen, and not
No.
have complete chaos and anarchy. I mean, that's what's going
No.
to happen. But the point is that it is possible.
Yes.
Because the other thing I bring up is that, okay, so we don't all have to do 100% empathy all of a sudden, all at once. It's scary. It takes courage to be able to
Yes.
do it. But what happens if we each raise our empathy by 10%?
Yeah. It changes the world.
Yeah.
That's what happens. It changes the entire world.
We don't have to completely gut the system,
No.
but we do need to be willing to have the courage to look at it and say, okay, maybe I can't change everything, but I can change myself by 10%. And maybe I'm not the leader today, but maybe I will be tomorrow.
Yeah.
What can we do with this?
Change the world.
10% at a time.
And even 1%. I can't remember where I saw this recently, but must have been on Instagram or whatever, a short somewhere, and somebody said, hey, if you improve your skill by 1% every day, at the end of the year, you've increased your skill by 365%.
Absolutely.
And that's how it starts, right? That truly is how it starts.
Baby
Hey,
steps.
we have been going on almost an hour, and I don't want to keep these people hostage.
Well, I will. Let me tell you about more books.
Oh,
I
no,
think I've got
not.
some statistics around
I
here
know.
somewhere.
I was very happy with both, with the statistics and the books, because even if I am highly dyslexic, hey, thank goodness for Audible, man. It just made me smarter. And but it's yeah, it is a conversation that's important to have. It's a conversation that we're going to need to keep having, because there needs to be more people that voice this out. And I hope to all that is holy in this world that eventually we're going to stop looking at communication and empathy and all these things as soft. There's nothing
Yes.
soft about this. There's nothing. It's showing up and being vulnerable is difficult. There's nothing soft about it. It takes guts. It takes a lot of guts to show
Yes.
up and say, hey, listen, I don't know. I know I'm supposed to be the boss and everything, and I'm the leader, but I don't know. So we're gonna have to figure it out together, because in the way that we were raised, it's just when you're on top, it's like when you're kids, when you're the parent, you have all the answers, and any parent in the audience are gonna say, "Ah, yeah, that's a load of crap." Well,
Yeah.
it's the same thing when you're the boss, but whether you're the boss or you're the employee, showing another human being empathy is never the wrong thing to do, ever, 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 ever again, ever. So start with that. Show empathy in your day to day. And well, Melissa, we're gonna have to do this again.
Well, shucks.
Oh, damn. Not like we had fun or anything like that.
I know. What a perfect way to start the week.
Oh,
Seriously.
yes.
you know?
So if you want to work with Dr. Melissa, the beautiful Sindel is gonna put her LinkedIn profile and her website right here, and there it is. That's Melissa Robinson-Winemiller, and I love that wine like wine and Miller like the beer. So I
Yep.
really love that. And where was your husband today? He was nowhere in the peanut gallery today.
He was.
Oh,
He
was
put
he?
a
Okay.
couple he had to put a couple comments in there. It's too
Oh,
early for them to be
okay.
too inappropriate.
I didn't see them. I apologize, Dan. If you want to work with me, I am the dream team builder. With the Nova assessment, I help people create the best team. And that's about you as a leader improving all of your skills to understand your team members individually. You give individually what they need, and they will create the team on their own. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. This has been so much fun. And
Yep.
Wednesday night, 7 Eastern, tune in. We're going to have a great conversations about collaborations and community and how to build a community with the great Russ Edge and the fabulous and ever so entertaining Mike Asherbranger. So guys, and I will be the co-host, so there'll be some kind of sense in this show. So guys, it's been so lovely to have you. Thank you for coming. So many great people. It was fantastic. And I'll see you on Thursday for People, Passion, and Purpose. Bye, guys.
Excellent.